You are listening to the Slowly Dying Podcast with Bekah.
Am I just extra or are you just basic?
Yo, what's
Can
up,
you
Daddy?
please move your leg? I cannot believe my ex said that.
And Bronte. I can't believe any of my exes said that. I didn't have my coffee today. I'm sorry. If there's good food, there is no problem.
Some whipped cream on your nose, actually.
Are we really back for another season?
We get it down on the mic because you don't want a bike.
Oh God, here we go.
Hey guys, what's poppin'? It's Bekah back on the mic. Like I said, I'm just by myself again because Bronte still doesn't have a voice and she's not feeling well. I hope you guys enjoyed the last rant. Definitely said too many times and I think I stuttered too many times, but that's me. And this is raw. I don't like to do a lot of editing, like we do editing with the sound effects, but we don't record 20 million times because I might record once or twice, usually not even twice, unless I'm constantly stuttering, because this is raw. This podcast is about giving yourself a voice, and I want to be as raw as I can with you guys. I might not share every single detail about my co-parenting life, my sexual life, my relationship life, me being a mom, but I do share a lot of it with you guys, and I'm happy to, because there comes to a point in your life you just stop caring what people think and you do what you need to do to be happy, because guess what? All of us is going to die soon. Not like soon, but I'm just saying, like, we don't live forever. We don't live for 5,000 years. So, that's why I always enjoy, I'm going off topic again, but this is why I always enjoy, like, especially when I was working at the nursing home, I would always ask, like, the elders, like, what are some tips in life, and like, how were you with your husband, or how were you with your wife for 60 or 70 years? I always like to hear their advice because they lived a lot longer, and, they would always give me advice, and they're like, one day you will die, and you don't want to look back and regret all those things. So guess what, guys? I ain't gonna regret nothing. Yeah. So I don't know how I got on that topic, but this rant is about documentation. And I know I say everything's important, but I really think that this is the important one, because documentation is your foundation. Okay? If you're going to court and you're going for child support, it is all about proof. It is all about documentation. As a nurse, like I said in my last rant, if it is not documented, it is not done. Okay? So same thing with, documentation with your coworker or, whatever in your whole life. Like, if it's not documented, it's not done. And I think I struggled with documentation for a long time. I never went in front of the judge, but we did settle in, like, mediation for a custody agreement, which, thank the Lord, because that would have been so scary going in front of a judge, because, like, they have the final say, and, but I think I'm past that now. In the future, I could take him back. I don't know why I would take him back for, because I have not Willie 98% of the time, but you know what I mean? Like, you could always go to court at any time. You could always renew child support or adjust child support at any time. It's just very scary, but I mean, it's a part of life and you have to deal with it. But I think documentation is your foundation. It is all about proof. Like I said, I had such a hard time trying to document because I didn't know, like, I would just write, like, okay, 8/21/2019, this is what happened. But I think it was so hard to be able to see, like, okay, so this day I said this day I said this. So it was actually came across, like, an older woman. She was, like, in her 40s, not old, but older than me. And, she was like, why don't you have a calendar and you can color coordinate it? And I have OCD. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I never thought of that. So I actually have a whole binder where, like, it will say, like, August, and I'll have the whole calendar. And then, like, in blue, I'm like, communication days. Green will be FaceTime. Pink will be about this, and I'll put, like, a little mark. And then on the next page, I'll have a blank paper and put that same color and then the date. So, like, let's say you go to court and they're like, okay, so on January 1st, 2019, I don't know, I'm just making up a date, this person said like, oh, you didn't offer me time with my child, then you could go back and say, actually, this is what happened. And I think the more organized you are, and it is hard to be organized, but it's your kid. It's supposed to be the most important thing in your life. If you're not organized, how is the judge going to see you as a fit parent? When you go in front of the judge, they are going to determine who is the most fit parent to raise that child. A lot of people get 50-50, which is good, but a lot of people don't, because they come in, they don't have evidence. They look bitter. A lot of people, are go in front of a judge, I've heard, and the judge will flat out and be like, you honestly look so bitter right now. You look ridiculous. If the mom has the child 98% of the time and, the dad is saying like, well, I never get time with my child. She holds time against me. But the mom has proof over and over, like January 1st, offered dad time, refused. January 10th, offered dad time, refused. If you have constant, like things of the same repeat over and over, document it. Document, because then when you get to court, or even if you don't get to court, in the back of your mind, you have everything documented. So even if court pops up as an option 10 years from now, you're going to be very prepared. And it's not about keeping the other child away from the parent. It's about taking control. For me, it was about learning how to take control of the situation because if you don't have control over the situation, you lose your mind and then you start thinking that you're crazy. No, sweetheart. And even as a dad too, if you're listening, you need to have a documentation book. Okay. If you have a court order, have that printed out. If you have, if you've offered so much time to the parent and they've denied it, like if the parent's supposed to have the kid 50% of the time, and I find this out a lot about people, 50% of the time, and they deny that time, they're like, oh, well, you can have the kid this weekend. And if it's supposed to be their weekend, then write that down. So when you go in front of a judge and they're asking for 50-50 custody, no judge is going to want to give 50-50 custody if the other parent is offering time and you're constantly denying it. It's not consistent. It's not right. And they always, like I said, they always pick the most fit parent. So if you come in, you look nice, you're dressed, your emotions are under control, you have a documentation book, and you have been, you've tried to be the best co-parent, then that's honestly what's going to help you in court. And always get a good lawyer. Always do your research. I have a lawyer on standby at all times. Not because, oh, I don't want Willie to see his father. That's not the way it is. I've told his father so many times, you can see Willie pretty much whenever you want, as long as we don't have plans. If we made plans that day, okay, then maybe let's pick a different day. But I do not hold Willie against his dad, and I think everybody knows that. I will get into family issues in my next rant. I think for a long time people viewed me as that, but I think people know that's lies. People play victim. People don't want to put their kids first, and then it becomes a very spiral emotional wreck, and then families divide and all that shit. But yeah, so documentation, however you do it. A lot of people say that text messages aren't the best. They want to email. I don't know. I have my text messages saved. I don't print them out. What I do, let's say me and, my son's father say, okay, like on Tuesday, you can come on Tuesday. So I'll go in that book and be like, okay, well, green's communication. So I'll put a little green mark. And then the next page, I'll write like, talk to Will, offered him time on Tuesday. He said he will be here at 8:00. You know what I mean? Whatever the situation is. Or if we get into an argument, I think arguments are the hardest thing. I still struggle with arguments, things that I probably shouldn't say. I think, I'm still on a roller coaster with, a lot of people have trouble controlling their emotions. It's a very human, and it's okay to admit that. I'm a lot better because a lot of times I don't even argue anymore because I'm like, It's the same story. You know, if it's constantly the same story of you being blamed and playing the victim and this and that, it gets old, guys. It gets really old. So you can, like I said, the only thing you can do is make sure you look like the fit parent. Be the fit parent. Don't just look like the fit parent. Be the fit parent. Do everything in your power to have your child, you know, put your child first. And the judge will see that, you know. Honestly, it will see that. And yeah, I mean, I know I keep saying the same thing over, but that's the only really thing I can say about documentation. Is all about proof. Hold on, I just lost the thought. I was going to say something else to you guys about documentation. Crap, I don't know what I was going to say. I guess this kind of goes a little bit more with the other rant I did, but like setting boundaries, I think, in documentation and realizing that boundaries is okay. That does not mean that you're a bad parent. It does not mean you're a bitter parent. Boundaries are healthy, especially when you got out of an abusive relationship, to set boundaries. Like if you know, me and my son's father, we do FaceTime twice a week. Sometimes, you know, if there's an extra day where he wants to FaceTime, but for the most part, we do 2 days, set days. And that was actually, I didn't used to have that. That was actually suggested by one of his family members, to set boundaries and set FaceTime days. I'm not going to say which one. But it's funny because now he's mad at me because I have boundaries. And I'm like, your family's the one who told me, you know what I mean, to do that. So it's like, yeah, you can just see like the bitterness still happening in a lot of people's co-parenting ways. And I think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, here's the FaceTime days, because we're all busy, especially if you have your child 98% of the time, you're busy, you run off a schedule. And I think kids thrive off schedule. They need consistency. That's exactly why you go in front of a judge and they're like, who's the more consistent parent? It is what it is. You know, I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's reality. That's exactly what it is. It is reality, and we have to face reality here, because you're dealing with your child's life. So there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, these are the days you can see, you know, your son, your daughter. If you want more, just give me a heads up. Try to co-parenting the best you can. And if you can't co-parent, then you got to get your judge to sign your paper or go in front of a judge if you can't go to mediation and figure it out. And then that's the way it will be. You know, I think it just sucks because, you know, you want to try to co-parent and you want to you don't want to have to write all of this documentation. You don't want to have to take the other person to child support. You don't want to have to argue with the family. You don't want to have to cut out the other family because it's so toxic, and a point where, not saying the family's toxic, but it's just such a toxic environment that you have to cut them out. I see it happen all the time. And like I said before in every rant, usually I say it in the beginning, doesn't mean what I'm saying is just me and my son's father. It honestly could be stories I've heard on YouTube. It could be other podcast stories. It could be my friend's podcast. You know, a lot of people don't want to talk about this stuff, and I think it needs to be talked about. And a lot of people stay in shitty relationships and cheating relationships because they know the aftermath sometimes is a lot more painful to deal with. But don't worry, because once you get done all that pain, and trust me, I had a lot of pain, it is 100% worth it. To feel freedom and honestly just enjoy being sorry guys, I think I have the hiccups, but just to enjoy being a parent and just doing what you can for your son, you know. And if the other parent wants to play victim, honestly, just focus all that energy on your child, because at the end of the day, that child is only a child for so long. I can't believe Willie's almost 6 years old. It's crazy. You know, and I get to spend all the time with Willie in the world. I wish I could spend every moment with him. Maybe not every moment, because sometimes me and Willie be arguing sometimes. He's a little sassy like me. Definitely independent, definitely sassy, definitely will tell you whether he wants something or not. And I'm proud of him. Sometimes he can be a little too sassy though. But he definitely has my personality. He's definitely going to be a strong, independent man. I can just see it. I can just feel it. Feel the vibes. But, you know, as you guys are dealing with this emotion and this situation of documentation, this and that, don't forget that your kid is growing up in the process. because in a blink of an eye, they're going to be 18 and they're going to be like, oh, mom, I have a girlfriend. Mom, I have a boyfriend. Like, they're going to be doing their own thing. And you're going to be like, wait, you're still my baby, you know, and they'll always be your baby. Like, Willie will be like 30 years old. I'm still calling him my baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm his mother. So, like I said, documentation is the foundation. And I know it's hard, but just stick with it. And like I said, control your emotions. Try to get, find healthy therapies. Do what needs to be done for yourself and to be able to take care of your kid, because sometimes you have to put yourself first so then you can put the kid first. Like, you have to work out your issues so then you could be like, okay, I really need to focus on this, this, and this, and then do what's best for my child. And that's exactly what I did. When I left my son, I went to our son's father. I went to therapy. I started going to the gym. I had a healthy communication with my friends. My family's relationship got better. Like, all those things that were damaged when I was with him, I worked on that. So now I'm 110% focused on Willie, and I love him so much. And like I said, anybody that's around me knows that. So yeah, definitely get to documentation if you are not. And if you need more help, don't feel free to reach out. We are on all social medias, so you can just privately message us. I think we have everything open, so people message us. So yeah, guys, it is kind of still weird talking by myself. Definitely miss Bronte on the mic, but until she gets her voice back, this will have to do. But I need to go get some more stuff done today. I have a massage scheduled, so I'm so excited for that. And then I get to pick Willie up off of the bus. So that's my life today. But all right, guys, this is Bekah, and I'm popping off.